So yeah, man, being brought up in just in that environment where you knew you knew everything. Like, let's just say you watching TV or some shit and you see the perfect area or the perfect neighborhood or the perfect family or some shit, whatever that means. Whatever that means. But you get what I'm saying. They have resources. They have extra, things that they can do. As opposed to, you get what I'm saying, a young kid that's growing up in poverty, a young kid that's growing up in the hood is just like the shit that we see is completely different, which means, or the mindset, it depending on who's raising you, what you learning from, that shit all depends on, you get what I'm saying, if you, what behaviors are you adapting? And me, I tell y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like, and people that know me, OGs, everybody that know me, they know that I was this way as a young ass kid because I was always so observant of everything around me. Like, I seen niggas get their ass whooped. I seen, you know what I'm saying, domestic violence. Not to speak on that, like I'm proud of it or nothing like that, but it was shit that I saw that I was traumatized by. And instead of being, some people some people may be traumatized by something and you you internalize that shit a different way. But me, I just sat back and was like, damn, bro, like this shit, like it almost became normal to me. And it's sad to say, but it was the environment that I was growing up in. That shit, it's very sad to say because it's a lot of women, it's a lot of individuals, either losing their lives or, going through, struggling, dealing with that type of abuse. And man, I pray for those type of people, hoping that, it could be a better outcome for them in any situation anybody's going through. Like, man, please, what I'm saying, reach out to somebody, get help. And the people that's, accusing, I mean, the people that's doing that, man, please just, what I'm saying, stop that shit for real. Like, that shit ain't cool. I'm not, what I'm saying, speaking on nobody, none of that shit, but it's not a good thing because you have you have a younger generation looking at you doing that shit, and that shit, like I said earlier, when I started talking, it's just like, how do you internalize that? Me, luckily, thank God that I was able to, sit back and fucking understand, like, okay, that's what I don't want to do. I know that I'm not, I'm hurt by it. I'm traumatized by the shit, but in my life, the way I'm gonna move different. I know that's what not to do. You get what I'm saying? And I know what to do. What you should be doing is, what I'm saying, loving somebody and making sure you inspiring somebody, making sure that this person or whoever, your son, your girlfriend, your wife, whatever, make sure that they know that you love them, bro. Like, no games, man. And like I said, growing up, my mom, it was a situation where, shit got hectic where she had to, split from my dad. And that shit, it was almost, like I said, it was normal because I didn't know what the fuck was really going on. Yeah, so, and from that, mom's, she, they both split or whatever. And then she ended up moving to Oakland. And man, this is where the shit all started for me. Right across the bridge, I was still a baby. You feel me? I was 4 years old. Our first apartment, I remember, and again at this time, shit was hectic. Like, I started to really see what, I'm gonna be real. I started to see what real life was like. Like, that shit, and it's crazy. I know a lot of people, when I tell people this story, they'd be like, yeah, I don't know, like, did you really remember this shit? But I'm telling you now, man, 4 years old was one of the first funerals that I ever went to, and that was my grandmother, my mom's mom, and they didn't have the best relationship, but what I remember was my grandmother passing away and my mom, from them not having the best relationship, they had started to get closer. And this made it where, you start to get closer with somebody that you never, really, I guess you could say, paid attention to or really had that bond with, especially as a mother. She started to, develop that relationship with her mother. You get what I'm saying? And I can't imagine what it's like to not have one with a mom. You know what I'm saying? But my mom, she unfortunately, that was her upbringing. and she started to get close with her, but Grams passed away. Um, Grams passed away, man, and that was the first funeral that I ever been to. Uh, I know I just said that shit, but I had to reiterate it because that was the time where, like, I remember going to the wake, and that was the first time I seen somebody land in a, you know how that should go. But and my mom, I just remember her, being so broken from that shit, and she was so broken, she wasn't really. I'm gonna just keep it 100. Like she wasn't paying attention to like, me being exposed to that type of shit or like keeping me at home. She brought me, and when I saw my grandmother land there, that it was just like, yeah, like that shit was. You talk about being traumatized, like that shit's, man, that shit was crazy. But me being that young, witnessing that type of stuff, it was like, oh shit, now I know that people pass away. Now I know how the whole process is when they, when they die and they got to get laid down and you come visit them at the wake and, fucking next day is the funeral. And going through that whole process, I remember, I'll never forget, the next day of the funeral, I was in the car. I was, mom, she was so distraught, fucking heartbroken, crying, all types of shit. And I remember she got out the car and I stayed in. Mind you, she wasn't even, she was out of her mind, to be honest with you. She had lost her mom. So you could imagine. She was so hurt. I stayed in the car because I was scared. I'm like, bro, fuck, I don't want to see that again. Like I really don't. And when I was, I'm in the car, I remember fucking the Fugees, Ready or Not. You feel me? The beat come on, and I'm like, for some reason that the intro to that song, that shit, every time that shit come on, I think about that moment. And a lot of people don't know this shit, man. A lot of people don't know this. That was one of the moments where I would hear that little, the little instrumental beat come on at the beginning of the song. It sounded like a Halloween beat or something. And I'm like, fuck, bro. I would always remember that, and from that memory, it was just like this shit plays in my head every single time. But again, remember I told you, me witnessing this type of shit, me being in that situation, me being traumatized from it, it also taught me something. I had to, within myself, as a young ass little boy, within myself, I had to think like, damn, I gotta find some way to get stronger. And I'm gonna keep it real. Like in the community where I lived, in the black community, whatever you want to call it, I wasn't. I guess you can say bright enough to fucking run to somebody and tell them what I was going through, or that I was scared because. And again, this applies to future generations, past generations, people that came up with me. Being a young boy, you have the mentality, or people try to instill that mentality in you where you got to be tough, you got to be strong, so you can't show no weakness. You get what I'm saying? Like that shit was real, and I felt like I couldn't say nothing, I couldn't tell nobody. So that's just like my moment where I kept that shit to myself. Long story short, man, I go inside and I just see my grandma laying there once again. This time it's a whole bunch of people. And my mom, just being honest, like she didn't really give us that, we didn't have her full attention that day because it was just, she was dealing with that. And, you don't think nothing of it. You dealing with the shit. You see your mom, you see her crying. So that kind of puts you in a little mood, keep you, down and sad. And the whole shit was just sad as fuck. But after, my first time experiencing the after pass and seeing a hella other family members that, oh, this your cousin, this your auntie, this your, you know what I'm saying, all that type of shit. Like, okay, damn, like, nigga got family. And I'm like, oh shit, I got cousins that look like me. I got cousins that, you know what I'm saying, they like, oh shit, okay, damn. That opened my eyes up to, okay, nigga got family. You start getting a sense of, I don't know what you want to call it, but I just knew that, I just started to find myself, however you want to put that. But long story short, man, right after that funeral, I remember my mom, I think it was the next day, honestly, but we go to the little U-Haul place. She go get the U-Haul shit, the U-Haul truck, and we stack all of the shit in the car, man. And mind you, the hardest, I can't believe this shit because I was so young, but the craziest thing that I remember was leaving my grandmother. That shit, like, because my grandma, she's like fucking mom, you know what I'm saying? Like, took care of you to the fucking core. I love my grandma to death, man. Like, I love my grandma to death, like, real shit. She taught me a whole bunch of shit. Taught me how to be strong. Taught me how to, you know what I'm saying, keep myself clean, all types of shit. Put a smile on my face. Times was hard, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry to go off on a little rant about this, but man, Grams was always there. Whether nigga was hungry, all types of shit. She, nigga, butter bread, get the top ramen, the chicken kind. Grandma, nigga, I know you just put that shit in the pot and you just, you know what I'm saying, do what you do, but nigga, I don't know how you can be the best top ramen cooker, but nigga, grandma was, straight up. But yeah, so we packing shit up or whatever. Mind you, I'm still 4 years old, so this shit is crazy how I remember this shit. But you know, my grandma, I'm seeing her, you know, just watch. She in the neighborhood just watching, you know, us, you know, leave and shit. And you know, my dad, you know, he was he was hurt. You know what I'm saying? Just looking from afar and shit, seeing us leave. Because mind you, this was a time where they separated. So I just remember my mom closing that door on, you know, I was in the middle, my brother was right there, and she closed that, my brother closed the door, and I just looked over, see my grandma and my auntie. I hopped over my brother, fucking literally opened the door myself, ran to my auntie first, my auntie Nisha. Hugged her so fucking tight, man. Auntie, I really hope you remember this moment, because this shit meant a lot to me. But you know, I'm on her, you know, crying and shit. Grandma or auntie, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. You know, and then my grandma, she was just, you know, rubbing my head like she always did. You know what I'm saying? Baby, you gotta go. Your mom waiting for you. You gotta go. Don't worry about it. I'll see you. I'll see you. Don't worry about it. And you know, that shit, it touched me, man. It touched me. And that is a moment that I'll never forget. That is a moment that I'll never forget, man.